So this is a tutorial on how to use a program called Sandboxie, which is the right here. This is the installer, which I will install later. But first, I'd explain a little bit about what does Sandboxie do, and what is sandboxing in general. So in computer, you can isolate certain things from the others, and this is called sandboxing. You know, like you're putting a sand in the box and then you play in the sand so that the sand does not spill out into the outside the box. So that's why the term sandboxing comes in. Likewise, in computer, you would run certain programs in a sandbox, in a virtual sandbox, that anything bad happens within the program cannot be, cannot leak out into the surrounding area and infect and mess up the other programs outside that program. So, in fact, Google Chrome has its own sandboxing that you may not notice. Every tab you run, this is tab 1, and this is tab 2, and so forth. Each tab has its own sandbox. So let's say you got a virus or whatnot comes into this web page here in this tab, it will not spill over to the next tab. In other words, let's say something goes wrong here with this website in this tab and it crashes, the website crashes. It will only crash this tab. It will not crash this tab or the next tab. Okay, so that's an example of a sandboxing. So in our case, we're going to sandbox the entire program, namely Google Chrome. So first, we need to make sure that the Google Chrome is the default web browser in the computer. To find out if that's the case, just click on Start here, click on Settings, click on Default Apps here, Default, and then click on Default Apps and scroll to a web browser. So currently it is a Chrome, but if it's not, then just choose Chrome as the default web browser on these Windows. Okay, so it is now Chrome, right? So now we're going to go to the internet and download this program. So just open Chrome first and just type in Sandboxie. And there you go, sandboxie.com. And downloads right there. So when you click on this one, you will download a program, the Sandboxie program, which is right here. So we're going to run it. Yes. Okay. Agree. And install. It should take about 10 seconds to install. It's a small program. Next, and close. Right. So when you install Sandboxie, it will create a default sandbox. That right there. And given that the most common use of Sandboxie is to sandbox a web browser, the program automatically create a first sandbox that encapsulate the default web browser, which in this case is Chrome. That's why I was mentioning about how make sure that you create Chrome as a default browser, or if you wish, you can create Internet Explorer or Firefox as your default browser. If so, then the installation of the Sandboxie program will encapsulate that program. In this case, it just happened to be Google Chrome. So I'm going to click here and close it. Okay, close it and close it and close it. So don't. All right. So as you can see, there's a new icon on the desktop. It's a Sandbox web browser. So when I actually I'll trash this thing here since I'm done. I'm going to double click on this one. And as you can see, it's Google Chrome, but you notice that there's a yellow border around the web browser. See that the yellow border around it? And this means this program in particular is running inside the Sandboxie program or in a sandbox. So anything that is saved and modified by this browser, for example, so let's say you go to a website that modifies some setting in Windows, that those modifications only occur inside the Sandboxie Windows. So basically it creates like a separate instance of Windows for just enough for Google Chrome to work, and anything that affects that particular Windows, it only affects those files in Windows that has been sandboxed, right? So when you close Sandbox, it's still running in the background right there, and once in a while you are asked to delete the contents, meaning that, as I said earlier, when you use Google Chrome in a Sandboxie environment, it will accumulate files, lots and lots of files, and eventually it will be too big. The database will be too big, so you need to delete the contents. For example, I'm going to choose right here this one right now, and as you can see, by virtue of just launching Google Chrome inside Sandboxie, I have accumulated 195 files and 71 folders in the sandbox. So if I actually use the sandbox Google Chrome to browse the internet, there'll be a lot more files here. So it is probably better to automate this process so that the Sandboxie will automatically delete these encapsulated file without my having to do it manually, right? So I'm going to close this. So I'm going to open, right click on the Sandboxie in the system tray, go to the box and go to show windows and sandbox, the default box, and sandbox setting. Okay, so click on delete here, delete invocation, and right there automatically delete content from sandbox. So when this box is checked, Sandboxie will automatically delete, will empty all the accumulated files inside the Sandboxie that were the result of using the web browser, Chrome in this case, inside the sandbox. Alright, so okay, apply, and okay, and that's pretty much it. So, and that's how you do it. So the question is, let's say you run Sandbox, and then you download a program, for example. Let's download a small program. So, as you can see, I'm using the Sandbox Google Chrome to download this little program. So the question is, what happens? And this is what happens. Sandboxie detects that a program has been downloaded or a file has been downloaded, and Sandboxie asked me to what I do want to do with this downloaded program. I can recover the file, which means I will take it out of the Sandboxie database and put it on the window that is outside the sandbox, or I can just do close and nothing will happen. So you can see I click close, and then I go to the downloads folder. It's not there, even though it's downloaded. It's not there because it's downloaded into the encapsulated Sandboxie. And when I exit the Sandboxie Google Chrome, as to that, it will automatically delete. See that? Delete content. That's the file, right? So what happens when I choose the other option? Again, Sumatra PDF. However, this time I'm going to say recover instead of close. I'm going to recover into the same folder. So what is the same folder? It's the default downloads folder. So I'm going to recover now, and I'm going to close this, and then it goes to the default downloads folder, and this time it's there because I had told Sandboxie to take the downloaded file and put it outside Sandboxie. So that's it. So this is how you use Sandboxie, the program, to sandbox a program, specifically in this case Google Chrome, to ensure that any things that goes wrong in the internet session with Google Chrome will stay inside a encapsulated sandboxed environment.